Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. By popular vote today we are doing a Crest Luard premium deck profile. Shout out to my friend Darkrai64 for lending me the deck. We have been playtesting this deck for a couple of months now, and without further ado, let's just get into it. First, we play for the grade 3s. There we go, that's a little bit better. 3 Dragheart Luard G. Its abilities are Ritual 3, choose two normal units from the drop zone and put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. At the beginning of the ride phase, you may pay the cost. If you do, until the end of the turn, you may stride without paying the cost the next time you stride. Then, you can counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards and retire it. During your turn, when your G unit strides, you may pay the cost, search your deck for up to 2 grade 1 or less cards, call them to separate rear guards, and shuffle the deck. Really good because of the crest. When you use the crest, like when you strike for free, you get to put an extra critical on the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn. So in total, when you stride using this unit and the crest, you get to put 3 units back on the bottom of the deck. 2 normal units and a crit. Let's move on. Then we play 1 Dragheart Luard V Series and 1 Drag Driver Luard V Series. Good for first turn if you don't have stride, if you don't stride first turn, good for getting 2 imaginary gifts that you can require, and then when you re-ride the Dragheart Luard using Drag Driver Luard skill, you can go right back into the G version later on. On to the grade 2s. Next for the grade 2s, we play Mage of Faved Fangs. I can't pronounce the last little bit. I'm bad with names. Its ability is that when this unit attacks while boosted, counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 grade 1 card, and call it to rear guard, shuffle the deck. And then its hand ability is at the beginning of the ride phase, if you have a Vanguard that is grade 1 or less, discard this card, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose a grade 2 or less card from among them, reveal it, and put it into the hand, and shuffle your deck. Good for finding the specific grade 1s and 2s that you want early game. I don't know if we really use this skill for calling grade 1s, but it's good for extra attacks if you have no other choice but to call this unit. For the 1-ofs, we play 1 Dagda. Dagda's ability is that Ritual 5, counterblast 1 and choose a grade 1 or less rear guard and retire it. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Luard in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 2 grade 1 cards, call them to separate rear guards, and shuffle the deck. Good for extra multi-attack. I don't really see anything else that we could be able to put in for this slot, so we just play the 1 Dagda. Next, my friend plays 1 Skull Witch Nemain D Series. The D Series Skull Witch Nemain has the ability that if you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, it gains 5k, but we don't play Blasters, we play Luard. So it's used for its second skill, that when it's placed on rear guard, if your Vanguard's clan is only Shadow Paladin, which it is because this is a Shadow Paladin deck, counterblast 1, put a card from your hand into the soul, draw 2 cards. So basically, if you're going first and you're on V Dragheart, what you do is you call this, you put G Dragheart into the soul, and then you use V's ability to ride into Drag Driver, get your imaginary gifts, and then at the end of the turn, instead of rewriting V Dragheart, you go into G Dragheart, and then you can be able to pull off all kinds of shenanigans from that. Next, we play the 1 Dump Hood Dragon. Its ability is to Soul Blast 1 and retire it, and then you search your deck for up to 1 Blaster Dark. And then we play Blaster Dark. Its first skills is that you can counterblast 1 and your opponent chooses one of the rear guards to retire it. Then if it's on the Vanguard circle, this ability can only be used on the Vanguard Circle, that you can discard one card from your hand and Blaster Dart gains Twin Drive. So really good for retiring, really good for extra boosting of the cards if you get it into your hand firsthand, and yeah, good for Twin Drive. For the last of the one-ofs, we play one Drag Wizard Morfessa D series. The D series Drag Wizard Morfessa still has the ability that when it's in the drop zone, it's counted as a grade 1. But its Ritual 3 ability is that if you have the Vanguard or the Crest, is that if you have the Luard Crest, until the end of the battle, it gains 5,000 power. And then if your G zone has 2 or more face-up cards, you can search your deck for up to 1 card with the Ritual ability and call with a different card name than this unit. Call it to rearguard, shuffle the deck. Like I said, good for multi-attacking, and good for milling out the grade 1s in the drop zone. Next, for the most important card in the deck, Drag Wizard Niece. Drag Wizard Niece has the ability to activate the crest when you ride on top after riding Drag Prince Root, which is our starter. Next, for the grade 1s, we have V Skull Witch Nemain. Really good card. Good for getting out your units with 5,000 power, like Dump Hood Dragon or D Skull Witch Nemain. I really don't see any other way to play it. It's a really hard once per turn, which means if you have 2 copies of Nemain, you can only use it once per turn. Next, we play 2 Black Sage Karen. Karen's ability is that it's when it's placed on rear guard by your Vanguard by your card's ability, Soul Blast 1, counter charge, and it gains 3,000 power. So it's an 11k booster with a counter charge, but you have to Soul Blast. This deck heavily Soul Blasts. So we just gotta need to find ways in our build to rebuild Soul, which is fairly easy. But other than that, not much left to say about that. Next is my favorite card in the deck and the best PG in the deck, Drag Saber Azarus from the G series. Its abilities is choose a card from your hand and discard it. When it's placed on Guardian Circle from hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, your Vanguard that is being attacked cannot be hit for the rest of the turn. Drop Zone, Ritual 3. Choose one of your rear guards and retire it, and choose another Drag Saber Azarus from the drop zone and put it on the bottom of the deck, and then return this card to your hand. So it recycles your grade 1s back into your deck, or specifically the PGs back into the deck, and it also adds a PG back into hand. So really good recycling, really good for getting grade 1s in the drop zone, literally best PG for the clan. Next, we play Abyssal Owl D series. If you have the Luard Crest, you can discard this card to add any card with Luard in its card name. We play 5 different Luards, but specifically you want to go for any of the Drag Hearts. So if you would start off early with D Skull Witch Nemain, and you don't have G Drag Heart, you can discard this to search for G Drag Heart. Or if you don't have V Drag Heart, you can also use this card to search for that too. But its other ability, Ritual 3, at the end of the turn, if you have the Vanguard Luard, or if you have the Vanguard of Luard in its card name, bind 2 cards with the same card name as this card from the drop, and you can countercharge 1. So good for getting resources back. Next, we just play the 1 Honolly. Good for multi-attacking, or stopping multi-attacking by your opponent. Say if they're playing Aquaforce or Link Joker or basically any multi-attack deck, it just has the ability to remove itself from the game and give your Vanguard the red text when it's the 5th battle of the turn or more. When your opponent's rearguard would attack the Vanguard, it cannot attack unless a counterblast is paid. Really good. Gotta love it. Next, we play the starter of Drag Prince Root. Enough said about that, because with Niece and Root, they have to go intertwined. You can't play any other starter if you're playing Niece. When you're going second, you get the Quick Shield, and you get the Guardian Shield if you're playing Harmonics. Really good card. Next, we play Drag Wizard Vicaru. I really don't know how to pronounce it. I'm still bad with names. This one has the ability that when it's retired from the rearguard by the effect or cost of a unit with a ritual ability, um, you may pay the cost, which is put it into soul, and you get to countercharge one. So double resource refunding, or yeah, resource refunding. Now we move on to the triggers. We play 4 heals, 1 countercharge soul charge heal, 3 heal guardians. Pretty easy stuff. We play 4 stands, playing Cursed Eye Raven for the stands, because Cursed Eye Raven is a really good card for the Shadow Paladins. What you do is you rest this unit and you put it on the bottom of the deck, or on the top of the deck, and then you shuffle it. You look at the top 2 cards of the deck. Superior call up to 2 units as rest, and they are retired at the end of the turn. But since you're Shadow Paladins, you retire them anyway, so pretty easy stuff. Next, we just play the 1 stride crit for early turn striding if you don't have ritual activated, but since you have ritual activated almost all the time with 3 grade 1s in the drop zone, it's pretty much a useless critical. Then we play 2 Belial Owls. Belial Owl has the ability that if you have a Vanguard with Luard in its card name, you may put it on the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn. It has to have Ritual 3, and then if it's retired from the effect of your Vanguard, if it's retired from rearguard but for the effect or a cost of a card, and if you have a Vanguard with Luard in its card name, you get to draw. But with the Crest, it constantly, either with the Crest or by its own ability, it automatically gets reshuffled in the deck. So it's a constant recycling of 2 crits. Next, we play 4 Taboo Mage Kafir, the Claret Sword crit. We don't use it for its Claret Sword ability to put itself into the soul to draw, because we can't, because we're Luard. Well, we use it for its secondary ability that if it's damage checked, you get to draw a free card. So it's good offensive as a crit trigger, and it's good defensive as a partial draw trigger. So really good card, and not going to lie, really hard to find. And then for the over trigger that we play Artemanoa. Artemanoa has the ability that if it's drive checked during your turn, it gives all your rear guards drive checks. So if you have multi-attack, that's an extra few cards in your hands, and then it gives 100 million power, so it's just a really annoying card. Next, we're on to the G-Zone. First, we play for the G-Zone Harmonix Messiah. Good for the Link Joker matchup if you have to stride into it. The only downside is you have to discard for every card you unlock in the Link Joker matchup. Other than that, we mostly just use it for damage denial, where we get to put cards into the damage zone if no cards have been put into the damage zone at any point, or we use it for the Guardian Shield, and we use this for flip fire. Next, the heart and soul of the deck in the G zone is Drag Principal Morfessa. Drag Principal Morfessa is really good in this deck. Its abilities is that you can counterblast 1, turn a card in your G zone, turn it face up, and retire 2 rear guards to draw 2 cards. Until the end of the turn, you regard trigger units in your drop as grade 1s. So all the grade 0s and the grade 3 triggers that are in the deck become grade 1s, and then its Ritual 10 gives your entire front row 15k in a crit, and your opponent has to guard with 2 or more cards at the same time. So really good card. It's usually your second stride, but it's just a really good card in general. Next, we play 2 Dragabyss Luard. Dragabyss Luard's abilities are Soul Blast 1, choose a card from face down as the same card name, and turn it face up, and choose 1 rear guard and retire it. Search your deck for up to 2 grade 1 cards and call them to separate rear guards and shuffle a deck. Then, if the 2 units that you called have the ritual ability, you choose 1 of your rear guards and retire. So if you were to call 2 units with ritual, you get to retire. But other than that, it's just a sack. It's a soul blast, flip face up, sack 1, and you get to call 2 units. And then it's GB3, Ritual X. All your front row gain 10,000 power for every 4 grade 1s in the drop zone. Usually good for first stride. It cycles out the grade 1s, gets some of your pieces. Really good card in general. Next, for the 1-ofs in the G zone, we play Drag Anger Ogma. Drag Anger Ogma has saved my friend in multitude of different matches against me during playtesting. And what it has the ability to do is Ritual 5, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, choose a face down card in the G zone and turn it face up. Choose up to 5 grade 1 rear guards and retire them. And for each rear guard retired by the effect, your opponent chooses a card from his or her hand or rear guards and put them into the drop zone. If a total of 3 or more rear guards were put into the drop zone by both fighters with this effect, draw a card. So usually because I'm a Link Joker player, if my entire field is locked, he's taking cards out of my hand. But if I don't have any locked cards, he gets rid of most of my key pieces. So really good card, very annoying if he has to go into it, but usually he does in order to be able to try and finish me, but never really works out. Next, we play Dark Knight Crush. Usually good card to go first stride, but sometimes you want to go into it maybe third or fourth if you make it that long. It makes sure that your opponent retires units, and if they retire units, it gains the restand ability. Usually, you don't want to go into have them have the restand ability, considering that they're playing the Crest and they gain power for every unit in the G zone. So this card can get very big very quickly. Yeah, I never let my opponent go into that very often. Next, we play 1 Drag Strider Luard. Really good card. Doesn't come up all that often. But it's Ritual 7, gives you the ability to retire units, or retire your units, and then you discard cards, and then for every card you discard, you gain 3,000 power for each card discarded, and then if the number of cards you discarded is 2 or more, it gains critical, +1 drive, and your opponent can't guard with grade 1s in your hand. But Elementaria gets around it if his opponent runs it, so it's a bit of a hit and miss with this card. Next, we play 1 Drag Driver Luard D series. Usually good for first turn stride if you're trying to multi-attack. Lets you get GB2 up and running really quickly. Not really much to say about that. Next, we get into the G Guardians. He plays 2 Dark Dragon Deep Griever Dragon. Really good card for the Shadow Paladin clan, in my opinion. It allows you that when it's placed on the Guardian Circle, you can choose up to 5 grade 1 cards from the drop zone and reshuffle and put them on the bottom of the deck, and then he gains 5,000 shield for each one retired. And then if you hit 5, or if you just put 5 on the bottom, you can counterblast 1, and it's a PG and a G Guardian for a counterblast. So really good card for G guarding. Next is Dragwiser Bronak. When it's placed, you reveal the top 5 cards, and you get to call all the grade 1 cards from the top 5 and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. Good for recycling out your grade 1s in order to be able to get ritual early game. Next, we play the Witch Queen of I don't know how to pronounce this. We play the Witch Queen. It's Basically, it allows you to flip up a G unit or a G Guardian in the G zone to move 2 rear guards to the Guardian circle, and then if you move 2, you get to draw a card. Pretty much that's all I have to say about that. Next, we play Plotmaker. Basic G guard for Ritual. Ritual 3, he gains 10,000 shield, so he's a 25k shield on his own. And that's the deck profile, guys. I hope this really helps out. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you could change in the deck, or if you have any other ideas for my friend for his deck profile. Yeah, huge shout out to Darkrai64 for the deck. Yeah, we've just been playtesting like crazy, and we're just going from there. All right, this is the Silver Bandit Squad signing off.